Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Classic Quest podcast. This is the show where we break down the classic hip-hop albums, the alleged classics, the ones people say on the internet are classics, or in this case, the one Lindell Williams says is a classic. And we go through it track by track, and we let you know what we think about each and every song. And that's basically the whole point of this show.
Yep.
So we're going to do the little intro bit, let you know what we think about it. And today we will also be talking about Diamond D and the Psychotic Neurotics, who I googled, couldn't figure out who that was, and the Psychotic Neurotics and their album Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
So that's going to be what we're going to be talking about today. Before we get into it, just want to let you know we recognize we aren't experts. We didn't grow up in the era. We're early 30s people who live in Montreal. We acknowledge this at the beginning, but the whole point of this channel is to be like an open journey to experience the culture and try to understand it more and more week over week as we go through these albums. So with that being said, we totally encourage your comments because your comments have helped us grow into significantly better at this type of people. So to start off every episode, we like to read our favorite comment of last week's episode. Last week, Bonnie, what album did we talk about?
Well, last week we talked about the Fugees, The Score.
And on that, we got a couple of comments from Don Willie. This one, I'm not going to go through the whole one for the sake of time, but man, it's a doozy. It's a good comment. I was very excited to see it. I want to start by saying this is one of my favorite albums ever. It's a shame what happened with the Fugees. Very true. Very talented group, but when money and fame came into play, plus creative differences, they never made another album after this. That's true. And then we got, it's funny how money changed the situation and all that good stuff from Miss Lauryn Hill. It was always rumors of a reunion, but never came to be. Lauryn Hill is my favorite female hip-hop artist ever. Her lyrics stand right up to any male rapper from her era. She's also an amazing R&B album. Her solo album did very well also, even though it's not my cup of tea totally. More catered to R&B fans.
I think she's a little bit more soulful.
I completely agree with him. I kind of would love to see her drop like a full-on, like, for the hip-hop fan side of things album. He respects her versatility and artistry. Goes on, and there's a whole lot going on here describing in the quick version how the money split was kind of whack, but Wyclef's getting double pay because he's got more credits.
Rude.
All that to say is pretty cool, and he wants us to cover some Funk Flex freestyle, specifically to Royce the 591. And over on the Reactions channel, that may just become a reality. Come mid-August, once I'm back from a little vacation, you will see a rejuvenated me that is more down to do more of those little reaction videos. Because on the real, they don't take as long to record. It's just a matter of finding time and organizing your week in such a way that you can be productive, all that good stuff. And sometimes, you know what, you just gotta give it a couple weeks before you can get into it proper. Anyway, I think that's about it before we start talking about this album. So special thanks in advance to the patrons: Milk and Dempsey, Chris Pryor, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricanes, Linda Williams. Shut them out at the beginning while you're still watching because they're cool. On that note, Bonnie, what album will we be talking about today?
Well, we will be doing Diamond and the Psychotic Neurotics, Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop, which came out September 22nd, 1992.
Which is very, very cool. It's a good era of hip-hop. I'm not going to lie. The more we do albums from, we'll say, like the 91 to 94 era, an era that a younger me had previously ignored, I've come to really appreciate a lot of the versatility of sound and artistic distinction that was happening at this time. Anyway, this is the part of the show where we're going to explain two things. One, why we're doing this album, and two, how familiar we are with these artists going into this album. Why? Because it's fair to y'all coming into it. Y'all have a relationship with Diamond D and the Psychotic Neurotics, because every other album was credited as Diamond D. It was just this one that seemed to be credited as Diamond. So I didn't really look deep into that, and I tried to find some information about what the Psychotic Neurotics were. So spoiler alert, I'm not 100% certain who the Psychotic Neurotics are. So if y'all couldn't tell us, that would be cool. I could tell it was like his crew, but I couldn't like find like a list anywhere that was like, these are the people in the Psychotic Neurotics at this time who worked on this album, or maybe it was just the people who worked on the album with them. Couldn't
just
figure
like
it out.
His buddies, like just in general, the Psychotic Neurotics are just like whoever's there at the time.
And so, yeah, and the reason we're doing this particular album is because Mr. Lindell Williams asked for it a couple months ago, and I had that comment, and he said he wants this album, and
Here we are.
It's his turn, and that's what's happening. In 3 weeks, it will be Jonathan Barnes' turn, and he's already given us his request for what he wants. 3 more weeks, it'll be the next one's turn, and that is just the cycle of our Patreon request over on this show.
Yeah.
Now, due to Lindell's requesting, I actually know who a Diamond D is. Like, it was actually like a familiar name to me once it clicked that the Diamond was Diamond D. In fact, I'm pretty sure when I Googled it, I didn't even realize it was Diamond until like after, when I was looking for it on Spotify, and for some reason it never was showing up unless I was putting in the title. But yeah. So just in case there's also any differences between some vinyl versions or tape versions or disc versions or whatever, because some
4-track, whatever.
We found out all this stuff just changes. Like sometimes the order's completely different or whatever.
So 8-track? Did I say 4-track? 8-track.
You said 4-track.
Yeah.
So if there is anything, it would be super cool to hear what version of the album you purchased, and if something like the order of the songs is different, but there wasn't like a whole lot of people talking about this album except for a couple of retrospective blogs that came out in like the post 2010 era where everybody found underground classics to write about. Okay. We've done AG and Showbiz's album Runaway Slave, and we've done the DITC 2000 self-titled album. So from those two projects plus last week's album, Fuji's The Score, Diamond D has been a little bit of a present for us. So I kind of like it when the universe is weird and connected, and like something like how Diamond D turned out to just be on the album we chose to do randomly. Like I didn't know Diamond D was on it when we picked the album, and then the fact that the week after he's back again, I think that's cool. Like just
it has happened before, not with like Diamond D, but with other artists, like really random artists that just kind of show up on like weeks after without us like, being even aware of it happening.
And we keep seeing the name come back, and it's like, damn, or the same label. And then, it seems like hip-hop, when you really delve into the history, has the top-level layers, right, of all the camps that you're maybe aware of. But when you get down a little deeper into the roots, everything is way more connected than I ever realized. Like, by, like, proxy, and I don't know exactly how to connect it, but in theory, Fuji's was playing around with the underachievers. D12 was in the underachievers. Therefore, by like a really close proxy at a certain point in time, it's not inconceivable that Fuji's and Eminem have fucked around. For all we know, there is a Fuji's Eminem track out there that y'all know about that I never heard
know
about.
Eminem has dissed Lauryn Hill on songs before, but I don't know if Lauryn Hill has ever like come back at that.
Fair enough. I don't really know about that either, but it was just kind of like those kinds of connections just keep happening, and like, I mean, maybe I'm reaching too far, but I feel like it's so cool to see how deep the culture really goes and the history really goes in terms of how many people are involved and connected to whoever, right? But we know Diamond D is connected to that whole squad that we'll call it the DITC crew, for lack of a better terms, because I don't know if they went by another name. This is, I think, before the DITC crew was officially a thing. I might be wrong about that, but he also mentions digging into crates a couple times on this album, so perhaps it wasn't. Either way, that's not really the point. This is, I don't know if this was his first album or his first solo project. Either way, this comes out, and this is what we're reviewing. It's called Diamond D and the Psychotic Neurotics, and the artist name, and I like the Psychotic Neurotics, right? It's such a fun name. It's just fun to say. It gets you the idea that things are gonna be a little kooky and crazy going on. Diamond D is just kind of like I recognize him as a good producer, and I haven't really experienced him that much as a rapper up until this point, just a couple verses here and there. So I was pretty excited for that. I have a lot of love for like what this squad has produced from what I've heard of it. Like, it's absolutely cool. So I can say that me going into this album, I was expecting a couple of things. One, I'm not going to necessarily be in love with the sound because it's of a different like stylistic preference of what I would go to normally. Two, I've learned to really love and appreciate that sound. So I'm going to probably really dig reviewing this album. And there's going to be some corny. and goodness gracious, I got everything I was hoping for on this project. It
Yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah.
The album cover is fine to me. I mean, I like the title though. So the album cover is fine. It's just a black and white. Everybody looks like they're shooting some craps or whatever.
Yeah, they're like playing dice or whatever, and Diamond D or just Diamond whatever is like the only one that's like in color, and
Yeah.
like he's sort of like in like the focus of like the camera lens as well. So everybody else is kind of blurry and black and white, where he's like the one that kind of stands out. So it is interesting, but it's not my favorite, but it's not terrible.
Were you excited for this album? I completely like skipped you, and I feel like that was rude of me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I know Lindell's taste in music by now a little bit. That he likes some more like fun, goofy, quirky rap, and I am down for it. Everything that he's suggested, I love. So I'm interested in having a good time and listening to this album. So you want to get into it?
Well, can we first comment on how they reappropriated sex, drugs, and rock and roll for an epic hip-hop version of that and titled
Sure.
it that? Because
Yeah.
think about it, stunts, as I learned through Urban Dictionary, is promiscuous females. That's
Well,
a
like underneath, like on like the album cover, I think there was like lips or something, so it kind of showed you like what each
So that's
one
the
symbolized.
ladies.
Yeah.
Blunts. Come on, everybody knows
Marijuana.
what a blunt is. And then hip-hop, that's the music genre. So another way to think about it, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And I thought that was cool that this was like their attempts to reappropriate that idea in like their own way thematically, because, or maybe it was like a really popular saying and I just didn't even know it till this
Could be.
moment. But I thought it was really cool. And it was a title that I'm gonna remember, because sometimes you just look at the rock and roll stuff and you're like, you know what? Take the drugs and replace it with blunts. It actually just sounds a lot more like a fun party to me. Stunts, I guess that's cool. I don't know.
I've never heard that expression before, but I mean,
neither.
it makes sense, I guess.
And if I have to pick at a party, rock and roll versus hip hop, I'm gonna pick hip hop like 98% of the time, with a few limited exceptions for nu metal. I'm just throwing it out there. I digress. That's all I gotta say about all of this. I don't know if you have any comments more on that.
No, I'm good.
Well, how do these classic albums like to start, Bonnie?
Usually with an intro.
That's what I was trying to say.
Psychotic Neurotics.
How do you feel about this little intro right here?
I like it. I think it's really cool. It is an introduction. It's short. It's only 42 seconds. And it's got a really cool beat, and it's sort of just like sit back and chill and just listen to this album. And I thought it was nice, and I liked the scratchiness of it because it sounded like a record, like you just kind of put on a record and you're just going to like sit back and relax to this. I thought it was a good intro. I gave it a 4.35.
Fair enough. I feel like it works as a cool introduction. I mean, instantly the production, I think, is the real standout point of this track. It just like kind of sucks you into this vibe where like you just kind of instantly your head starts bopping a little bit. You're feeling the bass, and it's short. It doesn't do a lot. The lyrics are kind of like faded in kind of a deep way. Like it's really not meant to be like lyrical. It's meant to be like welcome to the experience, I think, is the goal.
Yeah.
So it just says you are about to bear witness to the unexpected, a new beginning, so if we think about a lot of the intros we've heard, usually there's samples or something more whatever. This is a cool approach to the intro, so it is, I would say, a little bit different than other ones that are popping off at this time, which, like, if you think about it, it's a lot of either cut news clippy type sample things, it's
Okay.
a lot of skit-like things, or you'll have the spoken word interlude type intros.
Well, that's kind of what this is, but like more.
But this is really more about showcasing cool beats, which does happen. I'm not saying that there aren't a whole bunch that start off with a short little instrumental, but basically that's what this is. A short little instrumental with some faded vocals on top of it where you can just kind of be tripped out and experience it, I imagine they pictured a lot of people consuming THC-related products before
Yeah.
engaging into this album. It's a recommended idea. It's literally the second thing in the title to try, so it's definitely interesting that they really played to that effect and understood what they were doing in that regard. And it just seems to have almost like this positive vibes, like sit back, chill, peace. Like this isn't necessarily gonna be like
It's a welcoming intro.
And you don't necessarily feel like this album is gonna come off like in a harsh vibe. Like you really got to be prepared for that. Nah, it's gonna be more almost fun, I think.
Yep.
Kind of like Lindell. Lindell's very fun in the comments. I say that sincerely, even if I sound like this.
Yep.
Anyway, I thought
Let's
it really
check out,
works as an intro, and so I gave it a 4 on 5 because everything is cool, but like, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily stand out to me. It just serves its job to get me into the album really well.
Okay.
Next up, we have The Best Kept Secret. I thought you were going to say it with me or something. Fine, leave me hanging.
Oh, okay.
I laid her back. I go on and on like popcorn with the butter. Hey.
I'm gonna say that you definitely need a system with a little bit of bass in your life if you really want to get the full like impact of this album, because I just think like bad cell phone speakers, earbuds, cheap stuff, it's just not gonna really let you hear the full range of how well put together the music, like the beat is in regards to this song. I really enjoyed the vibe of it. I felt like instantly, unlike the intro, which kind of gets you like whatever, set up to like listen to the album, this is where we're really going to get into what the album's going to be. And he starts off with his rapping. Like, the beat's great. Like, it just pumps for a while. It's got a bunch of samples thrown in. I don't know how to fully describe it except to say that it's alive enough that it never really gets boring. It manages to evolve and just really flip up and kind of make the verses feel proper, but really it's just punching in such a heavy-hitty way that you just feel like every drum blast as it like goes through it, per se. Lyrically, he starts off with a weird line to me. You see, I skipped to my loo like Napoleon at Waterloo. So why is that a weird line to me? A skip to my loo is apparently how like you like line up and get ready to go and charge, like Napoleon at Waterloo, which is where Napoleon lost.
Well, he charged. He
tried.
tried.
I don't know. I wonder if like Diamond D was aware that this was not a shining moment of Napoleon's career, and it's actually like it's basically the beginning of Napoleon's end, all things considered. Which is weird because I've been reading a lot about Napoleon in the book I'm reading now. See it, the world is connected. My name is Diamond D. Let me tell you what I'm gonna do. I dip and I dab like a Mike Tyson jab, even though there's flab, I possess the gift of gab. And I like that. What he's saying is he's going to roll on through and take over. He is going to fight lyrically like he's Mike Tyson. And even though he's got some flab, I relate to you, Diamond D. I possess the gift of gab. And I relate to you there too, because the gift of gab is a pretty cool thing to possess. Shoot it like a jammy and girls give the panties. I'm like, damn, he sounds like a fun dude. And even with a fanny, and I might win a Grammy. And maybe I won't, so I'll chill like the Pope. And you know what's really cool is while he did not win the Grammy, he did secure a nomination on the score. And that's pretty fucking cool that a couple years later he came that close to like actually winning that Grammy. So, I mean, I'm certain a lot of people may have heard that and been like, blah, 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 guys, whatever. But the truth is, it was pretty prophetic. And he was so like chill about it. And if I don't, who cares? I'll chill like the Pope, who I don't know is the chillest person in the world.
Well, he's an old man. They're always old men, so it's not like they're like the most active.
And I feel like that's what we're gonna get on this album already. Like, that this is like almost a good prediction of the rest of the thing. And there are some stories, so that was exciting to get to also. But a lot of like these kind of, it's almost like one-liners. It reminds me a lot of stand-up comedy in the way that they construct these like little singular ideas together and almost just like tie it back together with that hook. Diamond D, raised in the forest, rapper tries to diss, I crushed the motherfucker. And I like that he isn't the one saying that. It's almost like people hyping him up and shit and using other people's samples as the hook to really like bring in the point. But yeah, I don't know. The rest of the song kind of flows through, and I feel like, I really enjoyed stuff. Let me demonstrate, if you will. Rock is my man. I believe I can't remember which rock it is. Maybe P&B Rock. I don't know. I don't remember. No, that's a new guy. I'm feeling like sometimes I try to guess and I embarrass myself. So I'm just going to let that all slide. And so is Dapper Dan. I do know he's the Suits guy. And man, every time I look at his stuff, he truly is dapper, this Dapper Dan. And I'll shake your hand and don't try to flam or front like a stunt who lost their cunt. I only hit grand slams, never will I bunt. And I thought that was pretty cool. Because he just goes from this like flary flashy thing to just dropping the C word in the middle of the freaking lines, just like that. But also like then relating it to baseball with a little bun, he's gonna knock it out the park, and he doesn't want to deal with ladies who aren't maybe able to fornicate in the appropriate way that they're supposed to be able to fornicate with Mr. Diamond D. All I have to say, I think that this is kind of what the whole rest of the song is going to be like, and it's super swell to listen to. I'm not certain if there's like any other things like, I'll never go out like a wet piece of tissue, rough and rugged, stronger than Bounty. That's like dad joke level awesome, okay? Because it's true. His rhymes is powerful, he goes on and has the crazy career and all that stuff. And you know what else is strong? Bounty paper, man. You really get Bounty
quicker picker rapper.
But when you get it and you really use Bounty after using, let's say, like no-name brand stuff, you're just like, Bounty really is good enough to be rough and rugged and in this rap song. And that's how you know I'm old, is because I appreciate the value of a Bounty bar. I digress. I like this song a lot. I thought it was pretty cool. I like the premise that he hasn't really necessarily popped yet. He isn't necessarily famous there yet, but just wait. He's coming. He's the best kept secret. And considering when he goes on to do with his career, that's fascinating as hell, right? Just to have that level of self-prophetic nature so early on. I'll give this a 4.25 on 5.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, the beat on this one is super great. I really loved it. And we've got, Diamond D, and he's like, rapping away. And his flow is pretty slow, but I like it. And it's easy enough to, like, decipher his lyrics and understand what he's saying. And it's very clear. And then there's, like, some flute involved in there, which I think is very, has recently been made re-popular thanks to Lizzo. And I thought that was really cool. And he's kind of saying, like, maybe you don't know me, but, once he's put on the mic, he's going to show you how amazing he is, and he's going to be able to destroy other rappers. And he's just, like, saying, like, I'm a cool guy. Like, he's just, like, really, like, that's pretty much it. Like, it's just fun. It's light. It's enjoyable to listen to. I liked it. I gave it a 4.4 on 5.
It also does establish that he's not only just a beat maker, but he's a beat maker and he's a rapper, and he's an established beat maker that people already like, and his beats is worth a couple of $1,000s. But if he was homeboy, maybe you should say hi to him because he'll give you a freebie is what he kind of laid it down. But overall, yeah, it's really strong. It really establishes like a fun thing. The music video is very forgettable.
Yep.
It has some people, like Ishmael's in the video because he says my buddy Ishmael, and then Ishmael says his little line. And, Diamond D got props like a cop. And that, like, you see that pan out in the video. So I guess on that regard, it was kind of cool to see some faces of the people doing the ad-libs. But overall, it was okay in terms of I don't know that I'll ever watch the video again.
It was a guy in a poofy jacket from, like, the 90s.
It was cool to see Diamond D, though. On that part, I guess it was cool. But I already knew what he looked like, so I guess. Anyway. This song was alright, but I think he really steps it up as we move into some more interesting subject matter because Bonnie got a one-track mind.
When you wanna get with her, yeah, you can hit her. Sally's 19.
So in this song, we get some storytelling and you know what? The subject matter is great for what it really is because. Did you know he wrote this song for his little sister to let her know that if she were to live in a certain way, bad things may happen to her? And
I did not know that, but I have heard that story before.
And if we think about it, maybe there really is just a lack of positive role models at that time.
Didn't Kendrick write for his little sister? And weren't there like a few of them that wrote for their little sister?
But I don't mean to say that there aren't role models, but I have to just think of the culture and the environment, right? So if you write a song that pops, literally gets a music video, becomes a single and stuff, you know that maybe you can like use your platform for something better. And it is kind of comedic and whatnot, but I also don't really think it's misogynistic or anything, and I want to just get that out of the way too, because
It's just facts.
he's really just describing the story of a girl who realizes very quickly and at a young age that if she messes around with guys with money,
She can get something from them.
exactly, and that is basically what's being reinforced. And it starts off when she's like real young, and the hook is also a hook, right? Like it's an earworm, kind of like gets caught in your head, like Sally got a one-track mind, it doesn't matter if it's yours or mine, because if you're getting dough and you want to get with her, yeah, you can hit her. And then like everybody cheers out. And honestly, as far as like hooks go, I think it really does its job well at being like a catchy little head boppy. You can almost find yourself singing along with it by the end of your first listen for how simple and easy it really works with the track. Plus the beat is just as well made as the last one. Really fun to like bump to. And I appreciate this. His storytelling, I think, is really good. I found it really fun to listen to. Like, I knew a girl named Sally whose tastes were exquisite. Saks Fifth Avenue, bag met a lizard. Like, that's pretty proper flow-wise, you know, breaking it up, using, like, that comma, break up the beat flow technique. Mm-hmm. When she was a child, her parents had money. She was spoiled rotten. How things had gotten worse. She's a professional. And then he censors himself because he doesn't want to necessarily imply specifically what kind of professional she is, but it involves probably dick sucking, if you know what I mean. And then she'll start to switch if her palms begin to itch, which is a cool line. So on top of it, first of all, he enunciates mad clear. This has like a faster pace than the last song. The flow has kind of got that upbeat vibe bouncing off of it. He's making sure everything is rhyming like absolutely the way it's supposed to be, and it's being kind of clever while not even cussing once. I thought that was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like, just gotta throw it out. Pretty freaking cool. So fucking right that he doesn't decide to swear.
Family-friendly music.
That's why not like this show. This show's not family friendly. But the palms beginning to itch is like, you know, money's involved. It's like an itching for money. And then it can also be other things like horniness. So it can be both horniness and money, which makes it to me super clever.
Yeah.
And it's almost like switching between it. Like, oh, if you got the horny, you give me the money. You get the satisfaction of the little bit of action. Mm-hmm. And then she's really young, sweet 16, but she looked 21, so she probably played that up. Dissed her friends for a man in the Benz. Then he cuts you off when he hits the skins. Now you got another one, he drives a Beamer. Wake up, girl, don't be a daydreamer. And it's just like, oh shit, you realize that this girl's just going around dating guys. And then in the music video, it's all black and white, and you watch this girl as she gets older just with different guys. And it's always kind of the same thing. Here's some toys, here's some whatever, let's have fun. Then when she's 19, he sees her in the club and things like that. And then, you know, just kind of points it out that, like, she's sitting there with her friends at the bar, and then some guy approaches, and Sally's kind of just like, I'm gonna go fuck him. And they're like, don't do it. It's not a good idea. But Sally's just like, whatever. And then he ends it really strong. But Sally doesn't think that she's living like a whore. You little hooker, queen of the stunts. Better wake up and smell the blunt. And then I was like, oof, that's pretty powerful. But also it really explains what a stunt is to anybody that might not have understood, like myself, what a stunt was before this album. Then at 21, everybody knows who she is. She's got a kid, and only now is she like starting to become like aware of her reputation, but she doesn't really understand how to be a person. And then one of the best poetic lines on this album is, never been in love, always been an object, pretty young thing growing up in the projects, you know? And it was just, if you really, like, it's a really great line.
Yeah.
Because it really does summarize how certain women get treated. Almost like, it must almost suck to be hot in the hood, you know? Just to know that everywhere you go, guys are gonna hit on you like that. And if you play that game, you'll never really get that respect that you are looking for to establish upon the self-esteem required to have the healthy relationships as an adult. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I never really thought about it before, but I thought this was a cool song and did its job well to convey, like, be careful. If you let men turn you into this, this is what men will turn you into.
True.
And that's a truth no matter what environment you're in, because you see it everywhere and all, like... Anyway, I could go on about this for a while, but then I'll get called a social justice warrior or some shit, and I'm not down for that. So, 4.5 on 5. Plus the bass line, it's intoxicating. That is the word I used. It is so good, that bass line. It just really sets the mood perfectly.
Yeah, well, it definitely sounds like little Sally Walker is willing to sell herself for a little bit of money.
Just like her friend Iggy.
Exactly. Like she's like a streetwalker, you know. And so she's kind of saying, like, she was brought up, or like the song says, that she was brought up kind of spoiled and, you know, maybe like a little bit more middle class, and maybe like things didn't end or end up as well as they, you know, or continue in that like realm of life. And so that's kind of why she's like now in the projects or whatever, and she's doing what she needs to do to like kind of have that like experience again, I think. And so she's definitely, you know, she's used to having these fancy things, and she's now using men and her body to get what she wants, all these, you know, fancy, nice things in her life. And she doesn't realize that she's basically like, and he kind of says it, a whore at this point, you know, she kind of is like that. She's just willing to exchange goods for services, you know, if you know what I mean. And then, you know, she talks, you know, she's 21 and she has a kid, and she doesn't know who the father is, and it could be, you know, any one of these different guys of any different race. It could just be whoever, because she's kind of slept with all kinds of guys. And she's kind of, you know, she's done this to herself because she's greedy and she wants all these fancy possessions. And maybe it's not worth it. You know, maybe like, you know, as she's like looking back and seeing like where she's at now, only at 21, you know, if she continues that kind of lifestyle, it's not really going to turn out well for her. You know, and this is still 1992, and he does kind of touch on it, I think at least in one other song. You know, the whole things with AIDS, like, you know, like that was going on. So for her to be doing this, like, it's a little bit more scary, I guess, than, you know, maybe nowadays, but I'm sure it's still just as bad. But anyways, I really liked it. I thought it was a good story, and I thought it was a good kind of warning, you know, especially, you know, for ladies to be careful not to fall into like this like trap of desire and like needing to like have these goods, because when you die, you've got nothing. So, you know, like that's kind of what it is. Like, you don't take anything with you. So it's just like, you know, is it worth it to like have, you know, do this kind of stuff to have things that are just going to end up in the garbage in a landfill in one day? But, so yeah, I gave it a 4.5 on 5. There we go. I'm the social justice warrior now.
No, if you want to talk about biodiversity, I don't think that's social justice. Let's talk about how saving the planet is human necessity. Otherwise, there won't be anywhere left for you to step to me.
Yeah, bifocals. I got the soul of Nat King Cole. If I go gold, I won't.
In this moment, I found out Bonnie was really going to like this song, and she was going to fall in love with it. There's no comparison. See, I'm like Harrison Ford. I take command and stand up for the funk, the gut of hip-hop. And the truth is, if he's the Harrison Ford of hip-hop, then I stand no chance, and Bonnie has... there's another one out there for Bonnie to go for.
Yep.
She likes the Harrison.
He's hot. What can I say? You know, Indiana Jones. Wow.
But what do you think about this song? And may we also just point out, again, the beats, funky, fresh, weird, awesome. Yeah. The samples just work so well together.
There's like a saxophone or something like thrown in. Like there's like real like jazzy instruments kind of like featured throughout like this whole album. And so it's just really cool and interesting, and it's different from other things that you hear.
And apparently Showbiz more or less made all of the beat, which I thought was pretty cool.
Very cool. And this is just sort of like Diamond, like just going in and like showing off his like rap skills and his flow, and he's just kind of like, you know, if you can challenge him, then step up to him, or step to me, or whatever he says. And I like, I mean, he's got like quirky little lines, like you said, like the Harrison Ford line. I thought one of them was funny. I thought when he says, jealousy's a motherfucker. I jam like Smuckers, so don't play me like a sucker. I like that. Like, it's just like, you know, a household name, Smuckers Jam. Like, it's just cute that he throws that in. Because he's just kind of like, you know, if you do, you're gonna get played. Like, he's gonna like destroy you. So It's fun. It's definitely a fun song. It's not like the best one on the album, but it's definitely a fun one, and I enjoyed it. I gave this a 4.25.
So I definitely feel like it's a fun jam again. I have to say
A Smucker's jam.
that if I'm like at a party and I know that it's gonna be a lot of people that want that old timey sound, I feel like this can work to like be a one record, just play it through, skip the skits, like make a version without the skits, of course. Skip the skits, run it through like that, and I think it would be really cool. Spoiler alert: the skits are not my favorite part of this album, but I really enjoy just the goofiness and the airiness to his lyricism, because I suppose an approach that most people will take these days is I'm hard, and the way hard is defined is as violent or scary, or the result is going to be all death and scary and mean, we'll say, and that is the prevalent approach taken. But if you're somebody like me writing shit like that, it's just whack, and like nobody will buy it. But that don't mean that I can't, in a sense, come up with flows. Then there are other ways to do it. And sometimes you sit there and wonder, like, what are the other ways to do it? Because frankly, not a lot of people want to try and do different things these days. And then I suppose it's shit like eat your ass up like a piece of beef jerky. Why? Because that's what you do. You eat beef jerky. That's how you eat it. And it means I'm going to beat your ass in terms of the rhyming. Let me start to get deep. I sweep the creeps who try to beef and keep. And it's just, and I don't sweat it because I go fat vocals. Couldn't see me with a pair of bifocals. And then it's like, what I like about this era of hip-hop's battleisms, I don't know. I don't follow the battle rap circuit like I should. I feel like I really should, especially because some dudes in Montreal is working with like 4 other cities to make this cool little battle rap thing that I should. Maybe we'll do a video on it just because it's fucking cool and we should look more into it. But in general, like, I like the fact that it's just kind of wit and goofy rhymes about how he's the best and stuff, Feet are on the ground so I can't lose my edge. I mean, that's true. If your feet are on the ground and you're like steadfast, you can't really lose your edge, because it's literally cool. I did my homework. I didn't jump off a ledge, and now I'm here. No one can stop me. I clock G's because my raps ain't sloppy. I put the work in to learn how to do the thing properly. I got my foundation in place, and now I clock the pay because I'm polished and I do my shit proper. That's a good way of flex. That's basically I'm a good businessman.
Yep.
Another line I loved in that more dad joke variety. See, I give comfort like a Sealy Posturepedic. Just saying, man, if your music comforts people like the insole of a shoe to make you more comfortable, that's dad joke level. So go and tell your buddy that I'm not a fuddy-duddy, and if you think I can't get busy, then you can step to me, word up. He just dropped fuddy-duddy in and didn't make... It's amazing to me. Yep. It's really good. He's got such a powerful thing. So come along, everybody, if you're with me. Best Kept Secret is the title that fits me. Get it? He's shouting out his other song.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll steal a show with the quickness and get hot like grandpa's quick grits. There's no compare. And I'm just like, it's so... Then he does the Harrison Ford lines and stuff. It's just so wholesome in his grandiose cockiness. I really like it. I think it really flows well. The verse ends, and it just leaves you with this goofy kind of like, yeah, this is fun.
Yep.
This is like a guy I want at my party, rocking the mic, doing the whole thing. So I give it a 4.25 on 5, and I'm really enjoying this as like an album to actually have fun listening to, as opposed to think and feel.
Yep.
So I'm probably never going to put that on, because I like thinking and feeling more than I like having fun. But that's when Bonnie looks at me and goes,
"Shut the fuck up."
Do it to the beat now. Do it to the beat now.
I completely forgot on the last song. I was waiting all day to talk about it. It samples Ready or Not, Here I Come.
Yep.
Now, what we learned was that the Ready or Not part of the hook was a direct sample of a transphonic song, Ready or Not, Here I Come. I think it's phonics, something. Either way, I listened to it today, and this track, or Step to Me, sampled the Ready or Not, Here I Come, but like from the original track in it. I think it's crazy that the track that almost got Diamond D the Grammy was the there was a track on the album that almost got Diamond D the Grammy that sampled that very same song basically, but it wasn't the one with Diamond D. But then you got that here again, and I'm like, man, that's some connections between these two albums that are pretty freaking cool.
Yep.
Anyway, y'all might tell me to shut the fuck up for talking too much, so let's go on to that skit where the production is really cool, and I appreciate the fact that they keep the nice beat work going up on it, but like, I think this is meant to be like funny and whatnot, and it's just, I don't get the joke or whatever. It's just they're kind of making fun of each other a little bit, and then it just ends, and I'm like, yo, put that to the beat. Shut the fuck. Okay, whatever. It's fine. I give it a 4.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just like him and his friends are like a bunch of guys like hanging around, like messing around, and they're just like goofy guys, and I could tell like. I was like, this is perfect for Lindell. Like, I just like, in my mind, I was like, this makes sense. And so it's just like a fun little skit, and it's just like these guys just like having a good time messing around. So I gave it a 4.5 on 5.
I mean, yeah, don't expect a lot out of me for the skits unless it really like gives me something to talk about. Yeah. Like when the skit's like a socio-political leader giving a 3-paragraph speech invoking political philosophy, I'm in, man. I can make 5 minutes out of that. I can't do a lot with this. That's okay. Fuck what you heard.
Okay.
This the real.
I remember when my moms and my pops said, strive for the best. You gain your respect, or you
Can we just have a little tangential conversation?
Sure.
So Sadat X is sampled here, and he says, although I hit a pound of herbs, I'm still nice with the verbs. So fuck what you heard. I get it. It's cool. But allow me to make this clear. If you smoke like every now and again, you probably can do like a Jibo tops, and then you're going to be tripping balls because you don't do it. If you can smoke through an ounce, you can smoke a pound, and I totally believe you'll be nice with the verbs, because anybody that can hit a pound of herbs is still going to be nice with the verbs. It's the only way. Only the people who can be nice with the verbs after hitting significant amounts of the herbs will be nice with the verbs. So you know what? Fuck what you heard. Anyway, that's just the truth of it. So I pictured it, and I'm like, imagine smoking a pound at once. I thought about it, and I came to the conclusion that you probably could still be nice with the verbs. Now we can talk about the song.
Okay.
Do you like the song?
I did. I thought it was cool. I mean, he's basically just saying, his style is persistent, and he has like this reputation for being cool, and that's basically what he's here and showing off, and he's going through all the rhymes, and it's like, it's really cool, like the way he like flows through it, and it has a really nice beat. For me, I mean, like, I don't know, there wasn't really too much to say because, like, it's just, like, you would have to go through, like, every single lyric to, like, kind of get it. But, I mean, it was cool. I liked it. I gave it a 4.35.
And I think that there are some fun lines in this, of course. The one of them that caught me really, like, right away was Dark Brown Brother who grew up undercover running a game on a dame like Too Short. I'll smoke an MC like a Newport. And
Yeah,
I really like that because everybody knows that Too Short, he's kind of a little bit of a pimp in the way that he runs his game on people. So to run your game on a dame like a Too Short is probably meaning that you have some skills, because Too Short probably has some fun arrangements with his wife that most of us, although we try, cannot make happen in real life. With, we just try. It just, we're not Too Short is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Now, what I liked about that, though, is because, relatively speaking, that's like shouting out the OGs that paved the way, kind of right there in the beginning. And I think I've come to really just like it when people do that. It's like...
And was Too Short a New Yorker?
I do not believe so. I think he's from somewhere else. You can Google it, though. But then, get a rush off the nicotine. Battle, please, I won't even attempt. Which is cool because he makes the Newport, the Marlboro, he makes a little bit of a cigarette things, and then kind of shows that, like...
My bad, he's California.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just didn't want to say it and be wrong.
Okay.
Either way, I thought that was pretty cool, the way you just can do those things, like drop a bunch of cigarette brands, bring it a little bit later, and compare the way that he's battling to a rush of nicotine. That's clever. That's really cool stuff. Yo, bust it. Better off if you sing God Bless the Pothead. As I remember what my moms and pops said, strive for your best, you gain your respect. Or you can settle for a public assistance check. And I like that. That is definitely a general theme we're going to see on this project as we go through it, is that he's self-sufficient in a way that he basically just had dreams and went for them. And he kind of looked at it like, yo, my parents said if I don't do that, I'm going to have to rely on the government and, assistance and victimize myself in a sense. And we have welfare up in Canada. And I can definitely tell you something, that the people who accept that welfare check, it seems like it takes them a lot longer to get back into not being on that welfare check than it should.
But they do have like good like like that they have like education. Like if you're on welfare, they make it like easier for you to kind of get back into school and to get like education and get off of welfare.
True, but I know so many people where it's almost like just knowing you're on social assistance handicaps how you perceive your potential. And I'm not saying it's exclusively true. Like, my parents got welfare and we didn't go hungry when I was young. And then my parents got out of it. Mm-hmm. But as an adult, you see a different thing than what you see when you're a kid. And you realize that a lot of the people on welfare kind of like how their lives work with 168 free hours a week. I'm just saying, that's a very different reality than the work trade-off for money. I guess the idea that he wanted it to be that work self-sufficiency thing to avoid unsettling for the public assistance check is pretty cool. And I don't know, I thought it was just, he just figured out a way to make beats. People liked it. He likes the way he does stuff a little bit different. And then he just pushes it, and I thought that was cool. From the halls of the Monte Zumu to the shores of Tripoli, like crazy places to be pulling is an extreme. Mm-hmm. It's the kind of stuff where, if you look at it from an educational point of view, maybe nobody's heard of these places, so he's kind of bringing light to them, or maybe everybody's heard of them. I don't know. Either way, I thought it was cool to shut out things that are not so standard to hear.
Yeah.
My style slants, but some still want to get with me. I don't understand, kid. You can't see me. When my LP drop, all my friends still want a freebie. Whether in a car or you ride a train, my style stands out like varicose vein. So don't you know I'm the champ? Better off trying to buy a pack of Newports with a food stamp. Because when you have a food stamp, you can't buy cigarettes. Get it?
I guess so.
So you have a higher success rate doing that than trying to fuck with him because he's that good. I thought it was really talented rhyming, and I know that Bonnie didn't want to go through the lyrics, but I don't think it's fair to like really not point out how good it is. I don't know who
They really are.
Or like when he goes, legit new shit that hits like a mule kick. Don't try to flip money grip, you'll get a very swift kick in the anus. Yeah. Homeboy, I'll make you famous. And I'm like, damn, that's just, when you say anus, that means you've gone, like, through it, You're in it. That's how deep the foot goes.
Okay.
That's what I'll picture. Anyway, I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. Pretty much the whole song flows out. I enjoyed the For the New Generation, like, Pepsi line, because Pepsi's really into that generational thing.
Well, there was I think it was the advertisement at the time was for the new generation.
And then, Diet Pepsi was Be Forever Young. Pepsi's really just into that campaign even still to this day.
Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome. And overall, this song was a pleasure to listen to. I thought it was a bit better than the other ones that were kind of in this vein. So I gave it a 4.35. It's a fun, flossy one. But I think I like the next one a little bit better. And you know what, Bonnie?
I'm out of here.
Damn it.
Became a tear jerker. He even said I was his best worker, but I continued.
All right, Bonnie, why don't you start us off on this one?
All right. So the beat is pretty sick on this one, just to, straight off the bat. So it starts off, he's wanted for murder, and then basically tells us the story of like what happened and led him to this. So he went to him and like his lady, they went to like to a movie, and while they were like on their way to like the theater, some kid got robbed and was attacked by 10 guys, but they like were just kind of like keeping their heads down and just trying not to like get into like any trouble, and so they didn't get involved in it as they were walking by, and also his girlfriend has on some like nice jewelry, and they didn't want it to be like like a risky situation, and he doesn't want them to get robbed. So then they go into like the movie theater and thinks that they're fine and that they won't be found in there, and yet the guys come in and they like basically sit like right behind them. And they're kind of like ruining like the movie because they're talking and whatever for them. And then he hears that like one of them kind of say like, we're gonna like attack this guy like after like the movie's done. But it's like 1 against 10 essentially, which is not a fair fight at all. And then one of them pulls like the necklace off of his girlfriend, and then he's like, nope, don't do that. And then he shoots them. And because he also previously mentioned that he had a gun on him just in case. And I guess this is
basically just in case this happened.
Yeah, and it did. So good thing, I guess. So yeah, and in the second verse, he's telling us about being a crack dealer and sort of like the dangers of it, and kind of like the troubles that he's having with like his boss, most importantly in this one.
Well, he first tried to work legally at a fast food joint, but the money wasn't proper. But now he's got a Benz with the white walls.
Exactly.
And he studies the game, and understands all how to do it himself. But his boss is kind of crazy. He saw him torture a worker with a hyperdemic needle for $10 loss. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. So it's scary shit.
And then he goes in and describes the tension with his boss. Mm-hmm. But you keep going. I was just filling in the gaps for where you skipped over.
That's fine. Fine by me. And then he's like, or I guess the boss tells him that he's like one of the best workers, and that and he I guess like wants to like give him like a raise or whatever, but he's just like, he just wants to be like his own boss, like that's like his own desires and like his own ambitions. So then as he time goes by or whatever, then like the boss he tells the boss that he wants to leave and do his own thing, but then the guy doesn't want him to leave and then threatens him. And then the boss leaves for whatever reason. Like, there's not really a clear reason why he would just leave. And it seemed kind of odd in this case.
Well, like, imagine you're at, like, a safe house or whatever. And then that's what a boss is. Like, your stash is there. You guys, he's your top lieutenant. Everybody knows where everything is at this point. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, I want out, etc. And the boss is like, you know what? You can't leave. It's just done. You're not allowed to go. And he's going to leave. Like, what? You're going to go do something now?
I guess.
Like, why would he assume that about you? You're his guy. He knows that. You're aware of the consequences of crossing him.
I guess so, yeah. So anyways, so he leaves, and then there's like a supply of crack that's like sitting there, and he says it's about $50,000 worth, so that's a significant amount. And then so like that's what he steals. And then during the chorus, we have the line "Feet don't fail me now," which I was like, oh, Kanye uses that as well. And so I looked it up where like that whole thing came from, and it's from a Herbie Hancock song with the same title. So there you go, fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah. Gotta love Herbie. And and then so in like the third verse, some like other crew, I guess, like starts some shit, and then he like runs home and gets like his crew and his like friends, and like they plan like a counterattack for the evening. And then he shows up, and he brings a gun, and then goes back to like their turf. It's like a Royal Rumble up in here, and or whatever. And then there's like a shootout, and his friend gets hit and dies. And he feels terrible because like this wasn't like his friend's like fight, like this was his fight, and his friend was just there like for him, like supporting him. And so he ended up getting like killed. And so like now like everybody in like the hood is like pissed off and like trying to get him because that like he got shot, like somebody who was like relatively innocent involved in like all of this, and probably like the rival gang still wants to because he showed up and shot at them. So like it's probably everybody's like trying to like get at him, and so he's just trying to like lay low and steer clear of trouble and steer clear of like any of these guys. And I mean, it's like an honest and hard story about life in the hood, I guess, and like the hard times. And yeah, I think it's one of my favorites. I really liked it, the way he tells it, and just like the way he kind of explains it and like sort of like the realities and just kind of being like, this is like his life or like somebody's life, or incorporate it into this. So I give this a 4.6 on 5. What do you think?
I definitely see where I mean, you covered the whole story. I figured since I do that most of the time, I was like, I'll just let Bonnie do it. The rhyming is proper. There's a lot of stuff where like they add the ad-libs or just stuff to create a little bit of effect and whatnot. Now, I did see that Diamond D basically was like, this isn't necessarily a true story, but I saw stuff that could be this song happen all the time back in the Reaganomics era of growing up where I did.
Sad but true.
I thought it was pretty cool that he took this opportunity to like paint it out, but then there's almost like just this slippery slope of how it can go from like a regular day where everyone's just trying to do good for themselves into violence because of other people's situations, right? I feel like in every verse, originally the intention was kind of good and then it just kind of goes bad. Like, I mean, you go from a date on your movie to shooting at some people because you're trying to shank her beautiful chain, like it must be such a stressful situation to be involved in. Overall, I thought it flowed out really well. It was really good to listen to. It was engaging. I really almost like this storytelling stuff more than I like the flossy stuff that he's dropping on the album. The beats are just great across the whole way through. I feel like there's a good consistency to the sound, and I really appreciated the change up in subject matter. So I gave it a 4.6 on 5, and I really like this track. And the next one features a couple dudes from the brand Nubian crew. It's called A Day in the Life.
All right.
In the life. It's just a day in the life of 3 black men. It's just a day in the life.
You know what I like about Lord Jamar?
What?
He's fucking consistent. Like, all the way to this day. I like him. I really do. I feel like he's such a good person to listen to in terms of just seeing almost like an extreme but honest perspective that almost no one else is willing to give so unapologetically in 2019.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. My favorite line from him was, knowledge in his head, beats bump the red geo tracker, and in it we get much blacker, right around town running down crackers. Last Sunday of the month, so to Harlem we went, not clubbing, the Parliaments of Harriet Tubman. Peace to the gods, peace to the earth, peace to the seeds, peace to the birth of the nation of the 5%, that sent intelligent brothers to represent. I'm like, man, this is really empowering shit. Like, in the midst of everything else, like, I'm now really curious about really going through, like, a brand Nubian record. So, people watching this, which one's, like, actually the best one that will get us the most views? Like, come on, let's do this sellout style. But, like, which one we do it? Because I think it's really cool to hear. Like, I've learned a little bit now about the Nation of Islam, the 5%er mentality, and all of this. So, I think, like, from a understanding perspective, like, I'm not gonna be phased from it. I completely get why he feels the need to ride around town running down crackers, and there's a point to it, because if you look at it, and I might be wrong a little bit, but it's really easy, it seems, for people to shoot people of their own kind, and a little bit not so simple to go after, let's say, the oppressors, who can definitely, there are definitely white folk out there that fit the oppressor role, whether or not anybody wants to admit it. I'm not saying all white people, I'm saying enough white people to make a line like that probably still valid in 2019.
Yep.
And if anyone wants to argue that, there still was that Charlottesville thing that went down, no?
Yep.
Didn't that happen in 2018?
Well, there's lots of things that are still happening that are...
Like, all I'm trying to say is, when you look at, well, how much hatred gets spewed, it doesn't necessarily matter what the source is. Now, I'm going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt that Lord Jamar's opinion might have evolved a bit in the last 20 years, but considering the absence of the internet, the levels of education and stuff, like, man, there's a good chance that most people wouldn't have had the opportunity to even encounter other viewpoints. So, all things considered, uniting and fighting against the people that are holding you down, it just seems like the right approach. Historically speaking, that is how communities defeat the people holding them down. So, like, I really admire the spirit of what goes into their words here and what brings this together, because, I mean, there's a part of me that looks around this world and sees how there's some really wealthy corporate elite that seems to be running the world, and I see everyone else as being poor in different degrees. And, like, that kind of thinking is a lot more how we can win than most other philosophies, like what Lord Jamar's spitting here, if we change a couple variables, I would be like pretty like I get it. Like that's all I'm trying to say is I get where he's coming from. It makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not really fazed by the fact that he threw in cracker. I know some people might be fazed. I'm not fazed by that. I thought it was a strong, powerful verse that just really got me excited. I don't think I've really ever wanted to listen to Lord Jamar's music as much as this. Like we've heard him a couple of times now. This got me excited. Diamond D's verse is cool too. And I think my favorite part is when he goes, the brother Derek X, forgot, I meant Sadat X, and I flex when I'm writing a rhyme. I got thousands in the bank and I never did a crime. And I like that because he accidentally drops the government name, which is fun. And then, nope, this is his actual name.
Yep.
This is what we should be saying here. I got thousands in a bank, but I never did a crime. And again, on that empowerment flex, on that, like, maybe there are other ways to do it idea, I think it's cool to see, right? Because there is a large percentage of people that won't say this type of stuff. Now, the downside is it probably takes longer if you get slow legal money, but if your shit's fresh, the idea is you turn your product into gold, and you can create that in your own way. I digress. Getting a little sidetracked. I thought it was really cool. Overall, the whole verse just follows through. When it gets dark, I chill with my cutie. We almost broke up because she started acting snooty. And I'm like, that's funny. He's got a girl, but she's getting a little too much. And it's just the way he put it is cutesy, but he's, you know, still giving a
like
little...
Now that he's, like, making money, like, she's kind of, like, acting a little bit, like, richer or something.
And he's letting little ladies know, stay down to earth if you want to smash.
Yep.
It was pretty cool. And then Sadat X's verse, I feel like just took the maturity of the track and brought it to, like, the next ones. It got, like, cool nuggets, like... 9 times out of 10, I used to start this way. Then I studied jewels and gems instead of Christianity hymns. Then walk past to see my man Marco Polo, who works in some sports stuff. You 2 shirts, that's tough. A baldy, that's rough. Call up a god, slide to 3 main places. We know a lot of faces, so the romp game can work. So you think I'm a jerk because on my face there's a smirk. Used to party, rock from body to body, but my nightly smokes are spent on a cool down low, rolling up dough and doing mad shows. And you get this like transitionary phase going on of like how he went from living lifestyle A to almost breaking free of that and moving into a more sustainable, we just go around and make all this money. I like how he's like, I don't deal with hoes because AIDS is a bitch. I don't want to get that. I'm going to be like proper with it. And overall, I just thought it was fun. It was a really powerful song, I think, and I enjoyed listening to it. I gave it another 4.25 on 5.
Yep. I mean, so this is like, a day in the life of 3 black men, and so we each have their stories, but they all kind of like flow together at the same time. So the first one we've got, you kind of covered it. I mean, Lord Jamar, he gets up, he gets a phone call from like a girl that wants him, but he doesn't really want her. He doesn't really want to like go down that route. And he goes to his church with the 5%ers, and they're just trying to be like peaceful, and it just sounds cool. And then the next verse doesn't really get enough sleep because ladies are always calling him, trying to like chat, but he's like, it's okay. Then he has a nice, easy, relaxing day with whoever wants to come over, whoever's available, girl, guy, whatever. And he says, he might go shop, or sorry, this is like Diamond D. And he might go shopping, but he doesn't steal. He makes that clear. He goes to the mall, but he doesn't, shoplift or anything. He works hard making his music, and that's how he gets his money. And maybe things aren't going as smoothly with like his lady, but then it's okay because he can just go out and party and meet other ladies, so that's okay too. So and then Sadat X, like you said, he kind of wakes up, he smokes the leftover weed from the night before. Studies the Nation of Islam, and has decided that he's not going to really like party too much anymore. Or sleep around because of AIDS, like you mentioned. So I think it's good. I kind of like the stories in this one. I like that they still kind of connected, but that they're each their own individual story of kind of like what happened in their lives. So I think it's good. And I think the beat's a little bit slower. It's nice. I give it a 4.4 on 5.
Okay. Well, before we go anywhere, we should make sure that everything's okay on the last car on the 2 train.
True.
2 Chainz.
It wasn't funny. That breath smells funny. That's what.
This is another skit. I guess it's what it is on that train car.
2 Train.
It's fine. I don't know. I guess it's funny. I guess it's really cool if you were like in the moment, or you can relate to it in some way, or you were on that train. I haven't been on that train. It was fine. Again, the beats produced well.
Okay.
I mean, do you guys like these skits? People who grew up with these albums, like
Lindell, do you like it?
like in general, I'm curious if y'all like stuff like this or not. Because, yeah, there's like 15 songs on this album, and there's 8 little skit things that really inflate it up. So,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering your thoughts on that business. And what did you think?
Similar. I thought similarly to you. I wasn't really sure what this one was about, really. It just sort of felt like if you wanted to be like a fly on the wall, like on this train, and listen to like their stupid conversation as like goofy regular guys, this is your moment.
Or you could just take public transit and hear
then there's just
as-
people all around being goofy and dumb, and or a bunch of other things. So I mean, it's okay. I don't know if I would necessarily put it on my album, but it was okay. I give it a 3.9 on 5.
All right. Well, red fish, blue fish, red light, green light.
That didn't really work.
Word. Girl, can you tell me?
Hey, Bonnie, since I took over a lot of the talking so far on this show, on this channel, I've done most of the
In
talking.
life.
Why don't you walk us through this song and tell us about this beautiful story?
Okay. So this one sounds a little bit more juvenile sounding. Like that's kind of like right away I was like, okay, this one's a little bit more like childish-y. It kind of starts off where I think he thinks he fell for, or he's falling for a prostitute lady. But then like went out and like I guess like slept with somebody else, so he dumped her. But I think that's kind of like what a prostitute does. So I guess he just kind of got jealous. And then like later on, he like went out to like get a girl to like bang like that night or whatever. And then finds like another girl. I think I might just making it just like paralleled what you've got.
I mean, yeah, there's a girl in the first verse, and he likes her, but see, she was all that, so I started playing Pimp Mac Daddy Mac, but I got stabbed in the back, just like a scene from Agatha Christie. I gotta cut it short because it might get misty. See, I thought I was in love. Spending time with the girl was all I could think of, but little did I know that I was in for a win for what I was in for, because she came, I was blind. And you just get the sense that he was like kind of, I got the feeling more like he thought he could handle the situation, and
okay.
like that's what I pictured it. Like he was like, okay, she's a hoe, I can do this, I can go through it, but then he couldn't, and then he kind of fell for her or whatever.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong though, or she cheated on him,
No, I mean, I guess that's
or
pretty
one of those
similar.
things. And then in the second one, he kind of went out for that one-nighter thing.
Yeah,
and
finds a girl
he
to
has his
bang.
nice shearling sheepskin condoms ready to go. He wasn't taking no shit from bimbos. He saw this beautiful girl that he wanted, so he made eye contact. He winked. You know, he asked her if she was there by herself. She had some fucking attitude and said, "Are you blind? Do you see somebody else?" At that point, I personally would have just been like, "I'm out." Listen, cutie, there ain't no need to be rash, because I walked a mile like my man Johnny Cash. See, I just want to get to know ya, spend a night, blah, 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 blah. It was kind of whatever. Everything was groovy. We were conversating, but the words didn't move me. We were down a taxi, and the girl asked me, "Can I come along?" They don't try to gas me. No.
So she obviously has a lot of other guys highly interested in her, and then like later on, are like.
Well, she started bragging about the men she had, and she told me she couldn't wait to see my pad. Then her beeper went off. I didn't pay it no mind, but it beeped 5 more times. So shit had seen the hint, but I was too focused on my midnight stand.
So all these guys are like.
Exactly.
Paging her to try to get
But
with her.
meanwhile, she's kind of bragging how she's a professional in the sense that she's been with guys that can't wait to go home and show you what I can do.
But in the meantime, he's just like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm having sex with you now, so I don't really care about your pager.
But he's not really paying attention. They go back in. She's pointing out how nice it is. She sat on the couch. She's trying to relax a little bit. He's just like, yo, I don't kiss. She laughed, got undressed, and then he went and found a Jimmy hat. Thankfully,
he said
one.
if he didn't have if he didn't have a condom, he wasn't going to do it. So.
But there was one left, so it was good. It was a close ball. And then he bangs her, wakes up. She's emotional. And then I think she bangs her raw. She like kind of mounts him is what I picture. He wakes up and she just climbs on him raw, and he's like, hold up, you know, gotta back up. Maybe I'm wrong about that, and then either way, it holds it back. We can be friends, we can take it slow, see what's up. She's like, how you gonna play me like that kind of attitude? And then, you know, don't play with the pockets because I'm cheap. Respect. Grabbed her coat, got less than a breeze. Should have taken a chance on romance since I'm in my early 20s and I got a little money, and now it's the same song and dance out. So I got the sense that the girl was so into him, fucked him, trying to trap him a little bit because he got money and whatnot. And he's like, nah, I can just do this every night. It's okay. I'm young and rich. I'm gonna go bang some girls. And I really like the reality because I feel like this really happens to him. I feel like he's a guy who didn't do very well with the ladies until his shit started popping, and you can kind of feel that through songs like this.
And he's really like not sure who he wants to commit to and like if he's ready to commit at all. So he's just kind of like, you know, he's in his early 20s. He's just working through life like everybody else.
But at the end of the day, I do appreciate that it's a 4.5 on 5 because the storytelling songs, like I said, they're so engaging and fun to listen to on this album, and I think that they're definitely on the favorite end of what I heard so far.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it's a great story, and the way they tell it was fantastic. I also gave it a 4.5 on 5.
All right, so as you guys are telling, if you're regulars here or if you weren't paying attention, clicking on the video, this is going to be the end of part 1 because it seems simpler to split these into 2 parts. So we cut it here. Yeah, there's 12 more songs or whatever to go, but there's like a whole bunch of skits, and so we did some math and decided 10 was the halfway point of where it would make sense to cut it. Taking into account the intro and all. So all that to say, we'll get on part 2 real soon and get that out to you as quick as we can, and we look forward to seeing what you have to say. If you do leave a comment, maybe we shout it out at the beginning of part 2. Just saying, it's kind of been a habit because this one will probably go out before, or maybe not. Maybe part 2 gets recorded before this one goes out. Who knows?
Yep.
We'll see what happens. Thank y'all for watching. Feel free to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Feel free to subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Like the video if you did. Special thanks to the patrons. Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prada, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricane, Lindell Williams. They support what we do. They helped us get a new camera. They're dope. Lindell told us to review this album, so if you go and join up there, you can unlock that perk for yourself. Either way, we would appreciate any help to get to the next tier of life, and that would be amazing of you.
Yeah.
We also make music over here. You can check that out. Links in the description of the video and all. And thank y'all for watching. It really means the world, and peace.
Bye, guys.